Cabinet meeting. I think you all know the scripts now. We do have people online, people here in the council chamber, and if there are any problems with the IT, we will pause things while we get people back online. But hopefully we're moving to hybrid meetings by requirement, being a thing of the past. But let's see where it goes. First item is apologies for absence. Nina?
We've got no apologies, Chair, but Councillor Murray and Wilson are joining via Teams.
Okay, that's fine. And both have given us prior notice of that for the different reasons. The next item is the minutes of the meeting held on the 20th of January. Has anybody got any comments on that? Could somebody second those? Speak together.
Move those, Chair.
If there's no changes required or anything, all those in favour please show. Who can vote? Excellent. That's passed. Next item is any declarations of interest. Yes, Councillor Clifford.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to declare a personal interest in the Whittle surgery. That's for discussion further on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay. Any other declarations of interest? No. In that case, the next one is about public questions. I don't think we've got any public questions, have we, Nina?
No, none received, Chair.
Thank you. So the next item, and a bit like deja vu, this is item 4 is the Revenue Budget Monitoring Report. Having spent a lot of time discussing money the other night, we're going to discuss this as the first part of this meeting as well. So, as you're aware, this is I've been doing this on behalf of Councillor Wilson, and no doubt I will do my very best to get it incorrect, like I did a few things the other night.
Louise is marking you.
Is she? Good. The report, as it details in the recommendations, is to note the outturn of revenue, etc., up to the 31st of December, to note the variance made from the revenue budget during that period, and to approve the creation of the reserves from the forecasting the underspends that are detailed there in the various points, from spending money on the Queen's Jubilee through Checkout Surely, apprentices, play on open space, support for local businesses, and the Green Agenda Fund. As I've said, a lot of this was discussed in full on Tuesday night at the council. It's a bit weird that some of these items are coming now tonight, with the way the meetings have fell. So, so the papers are there. If anybody wants to ask any questions around that or make any points, please feel free. Otherwise, it's a case of noting the changes and all those reserves being created. So I propose those recommendations. Seconded. Thank you, Adrian. And all those in favour, please show. Good stuff. Thank you very much. The next item then, alongside the revenue budget monitoring, as is traditional, we've got the capital budget monitoring for Q3. Again, we looked at some of this stuff the other night. So you've got the capital programme in Appendix A to the report that's in front of you, which includes the amendments to programmes detailed at point 11 in the report, since the last one was done, and that details some of the slippage and changes and what have you within our capital programme. We're asked to note the variations to the programme in Appendix B and reference in the main body of the report, and we're also monitoring section of the report in respect of cash investments and loan balances and debtors as at the 31st of December 2021, all of which again were in the reports we went through in quite a lot of detail on the other night. But happy to take any specific questions on this report if anybody's got any questions or points they'd like to make. No? Everybody's done the budget to death on the other night, so that's fine. On that basis then, I've made those proposals. Someone second those for us. Thank you, Mr Ward. All those in favour, please show. Cool. And that brings us on very swiftly then to item 6, which is the Q3 Performance Monitoring Report. This report, as it says, is there to note the report. It sets out our performance against the key service delivery indicators. Overall performance is good, with 10 of the projects rated green, 2 amber and 1 completed. So most things generally on target. It does detail in the report those where we are closely monitoring, those targets that are within the threshold of performance, and we have a number that are operating at slightly below target, most of which related some way or other to COVID and the impact on the town centre, etc., and jobs and all the rest of those things that I know we've discussed previously, and hopefully we'll be coming towards a bit of a conclusion on some of that stuff. You've also got a number of indicators that relate to the residence survey. The survey was undertaken in October and November, and I think results will be shared with members shortly, but generally it was a good report, I think, from the initial findings that I've seen anyway. And it's also asked that we looked at these corporate strategy projects for the last quarter, which will finish or be run through to the end of the year at the end of March, and then be for next year's council to set if they want to change some of those. So I don't intend to go through all of the individual projects in particular. Happy to take questions on any that anybody has any real specific concerns about. But as I said, I think what we're seeing generally is most targets coming back at least to achieve target, if not exceed target, and those that aren't are probably things we can't do much about until we get way beyond the COVID situation. Any questions on this report? Any points anybody would like to make? Any comments? Councillor Cullens.
Thank you very much, Alistair. It's in connection with, on agenda item 6, page 59, line 50, the town centre vacancy rate. Just noting that one of the actions required in the first paragraph said that long-term voids are being targeted or possibly targeted for acquisition. Could the Cabinet member remind me how much was actually allocated in this year's budget for any potential acquisitions?
From memory, nothing specific, but there is the capacity to do that within two pots of money. One is our town centre improvement reserve, which is primarily around landscaping and street scene and all the rest of it, but could be used if required, Alan, to work on properties as well, and has been in the past. I think the principle is that if the market can sort out some of these long-term empty voids, that will be our preference, and we always actively, encourage and try to assist in that happening. And therefore, there's probably a number of properties we've got to watch on that so far, every time we've thought about doing something, we haven't had to because the market is sorting it out. And as you'll be well aware, the problem with the market sorting things out is it tends to go in fits and starts, and you think things are being resolved and then something changes and somebody's business model changes or whatever it might be. I think the area we've been most concerned about is the bottom of Chapel Street, but we have seen some new enterprises going into that area. That, by its nature, tends to then put more focus on the remaining properties. And, excuse me, some of the stretch of Market Street between Chapel Street and, for want of a better word, the Big Lamp and White Bull area, again, was of concern a number of months ago. But if you walk down there at the moment, you'll see there's quite a lot of work been going on, both in units opening, but also in units starting to be refurbished. And again, while they may be empty for business rates now, there's already plans to bring them back into usage. So the problem we have in our town centre is a couple of the bigger units increase that percentage number. I think we've also got the constant battle of churn, for want of a better word, in businesses coming and going. But at the moment, I think we aren't proposing to intervene in the market immediately. It's a watching brief. And I think as we get back from COVID, that's something we've got to keep an eye on.
Yeah, thanks very much, Alistair. So would it be right in assuming that at this stage there is no requirement for any additional capital expenditure?
No, other than what's already earmarked for the town centre, and how we spend that is, many and varied, which is one of the things we were talking to the government about, whether they would support us as a town centre fund rather than doing the big schemes that they're perhaps doing elsewhere, is support us in doing some of the intervention and scattered intervention. They weren't keen on that because that wasn't the big ticket item they wanted to see. Although personally, I believe that would be more rewarding for Chorley.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Nope, stunned silence. So, we're asked to note that report, so I'm going to take it that that's been noted, and we'll move on to the next item. Right, the next item is item 7. It's a volunteering policy, and it's Councillor Murray. You right, Bev?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Chair. The volunteer policy has not been updated since 2015, and currently there's no centralised approach to how departments manage, train and evaluate volunteers. This policy creates a centralised point via the Employability and Volunteering Coordinator to ensure that there's a consistent approach across the organisation and that volunteers are supported and we look to help develop their skills. It also helps evaluate with both the volunteer and the various departments. The policy is focused on primarily individuals that come into the council. However, councils can refer into groups in the wider community. However, to do that, they have to reach a certain standard which is set out in the community volunteer referral agreement in the appendix. And just to emphasise that volunteers will not be used to displace paid staff or to undercut paying conditions of service. And I would like to move the recommendation.
Oh, you can't move the recommendation, Councillor Murray, because you're not here in person.
Oh, can I not?
No, but you can propose that somebody else does it for you, which I'm happy to do.
Well, Alistair, I propose that you then move the recommendations.
Right, thank you very much. I'll move those recommendations in paragraphs 3 and 4. How polite. Peter? Seconded, thank you. Any other comments, questions? No, on that basis, all those in favour, please show. Excellent. That worked quite well, that one. Councillor Murray, we'll go to the next one. Item 8, which is the Holiday Activity and Food Programme.
Thank you, Chair. As we now understand, the Holiday Activity Food Programme will be extended, and LCC are keen to follow the same delivery model they used previously. So this report asks that we approve that Chorley Council take the lead for the delivery of the HAF for 2022-23 and commission the delivery of the programme via Inspire, Youth Zone and Chorley Sports Partnership. As members will know, Youth Zone and the Sports Partnership delivered the programme previously and are the most experienced locally with the knowledge, infrastructure and partnership to undertake this project. Commissioning the Youth Zone and Sports Partnership also allows the council officer to oversee the projects, which will help us understand where there are possible gaps and inform projects moving forward. The rest of the report from page 90, paragraph 28 to halfway down page 94 provides information on what challenges occurred and what improvements can be made moving forward. There was a significant challenge around older children engaging and also with special educational needs. Officers have already met with parents from with children with special educational needs to try and understand what provision could be provided in the future. So I would like Alistair, if you would, to move the report.
Nations, thank you. I'm turning to Steve Holgate, not putting me speaking on. Items 4 and 5 are the recommendations that have been put forward. Any questions on that programme? Any questions or comments on that programme? I think it's an excellent proposal. Seconded, is that it?
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you. All those in favour, please show. Good. Is that the conclusion of your items, Councillor?
It is. It's back to your show now, Alistair, I think.
That's fine. I believe you're going to drop off. You're not meeting Prince William, are you, later on at Buckingham Palace after you hanging down with him on Tuesday?
No. Not today, no.
Not today, right. Next week. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bev. Thanks for joining us. The next item then is item 9, which is Councillor Morwood, the Central Lancashire Local Plan Resourcing.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report, as outlined in paragraph 1, is to present an update on the procurement process and to provide additional support to the Central Lancashire Local Plan team and informs members on the reasons for change to the approach from the approved on the 16th of November. The two recommendations there are to approve the revised approach for procurement. I must get new teeth for that one. From the use of the SCAPE framework as agreed by Council last November the 16th, and to use existing consultants based on individual contracts, etc., as laid out in paragraph 2, and to agree to the continued release of the additional approved funding, 300,000, to the local plan budget. That 300,000, of course, is split between the 3 local authorities. The reason paragraph 5 outlines that we were to use the SCAPE framework, but following this option in discussions with the 3 councils, it was found that this option was no longer appropriate. And the reason for that is outlined in paragraph 9. Basically, when they looked at the various options that were available, only one consultant was identified that we could use, and it turned out that consultant was also representing landowners, promoting sites for the local plan, so it was felt there was perhaps potential there for conflict of interest. So the alternative approach was to use the consultants that we were already using in the local plan, and those consultants are outlined in paragraph 15, and they've agreed to continue in principle to do the work for us. And in addition to that, as outlined in paragraph 20, we are using our own sort of in-house resource teams who have been developing their skills as we progress the local plan over this last couple of years. How long? Yeah. So forever, yes, it seems longer, but that's basically it, Chair. So I'd like to propose those recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Morwood. And yeah, we need to get on with this work, but it seems that we need greater options of consultants in this market. It seems to be everybody's working for everybody else, and there's a lot of things going on at the moment in the planning strategy world. So our options are somewhat limited. Any questions or comments on that report? No, can't see anybody online or in the room. So it's been proposed by Councillor Morwood. Seconded, thank you, Councillor Lowe. All those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. At this point, we have to exclude the public and press, so I will propose that we exclude the public and press. Second that, Peter, yeah. All those in favour, please show.